strong. There's a well-rounded education component where we provide college prep opportunities, SAT tutorials, things like that, and a program called Zello, which is a college career software program. And then the last component of Title IV is effective use of technology, and we've used that portion of the funds to purchase ClassLink. IDEA.
Hi. Each year in special education, we are afforded the opportunity for the possibility of 3 grants. We have IDEA B, which we call 224. Typically, that runs about $849,000. IDEA B, which is the 225, which is typically around $25,000. And high-cost funds, 226, that we receive only when we have a student that receives an education outside of our district that can meet a threshold to provide those funds. So we don't get that every year. The funds for IDEA B are funds that must be used only to pay for the excess cost of providing special education and the related services to children with disabilities, and must not be used to pay for the total direct cost. So what that means, it's costs that go above and beyond what we would typically spend. For example, if we were buying computers for every classroom, what would happen in that situation is that the special education class would be funded through that same process, and we wouldn't be allowed to use special education funds to then pay for the special education class. So it's meant to supplement, not supplant anything we do. The majority of IDEA B is used for salary costs. IDEA B 225, the same thing. These funds must be used to pay for only the excess cost of providing special education and related services to children with disabilities. The difference for the IDEA B is it funds only the 3 to 5-year-olds. Currently, ours is to pay for the salary of one paraprofessional within our district. The high-cost funds are to help offset the costs for providing education to high-need students who are typically educated outside of our district. Our current funding is only sent to Avondale, which we have 1 student, and when that student graduates, we will no longer be eligible for those funds. So that's how we spend our special education funds.
Okay. Am I working? That's all right. The grant funds that I work with are either competitive grants that we apply for, competing against other entities, and then we also have other grants that are based on things like our population and federal grants this year through the COVID relief funds. So the first grant here is the Voca grant, Victims of Crime. We have had this grant awarded to us in the past from the governor. This year, we had to apply for it as a competitive grant, and so we'll know in another month if our funding will be continued, but our current grant will run out in August of $200,000. This supports 2 of our wellness counselors and our clerk at the high school in the wellness center. The Truancy Prevention Grant is also a competitive grant, but it is a 3-year grant, and we had to apply for it each year, and we've applied for our 3rd year. This supports 10 helper coaches at each of the 2 campuses. Each have 2 staff members that help with phone calls, tracking attendance, and making home visits to try to get our kids to come to school. And that's been $100,000 each year. The mental health grant is through the Prevention of Violence Division of the Department of Justice. And this is currently $38,000, and we've been able to send our counselors to get more training in dealing with trauma, anxiety, those kinds of things. The COPS grant, COPS, is also a Department of Justice grant that is competitive, and this This is our second year of a 2-year grant that allowed us to enhance the audio at junior high so that it connected with our emergency area at the police department. And then the milestone program for our police department helped enhance their technology as well. And that was $325,000. The Stop the School Violence Award is also through the COPS program, and this is the second year of or actually the third year of a 3-year grant for the Gaggle software that we use to monitor our students' computer use. And that one will run out, but we are applying for another one, and that was $200,000. The AEAP, the Anti-Terrorism Grant Reimbursement, this we just received this year, finally, for the rebuild of our high school after the May 18th tragedy. And we received $642,000 to help for the remodeling. The Restart Harvey is for expenses after Hurricane Harvey. We're still in negotiations with that one. And then the Esser Grants that I know you've heard about this year, last year, these are the ones that were awarded from the federal government. The Esser 1 grant supports teacher salaries, curriculum materials, and some of our PPE items. That was $411,000, and that one is pretty much completed and been audited by the federal government. And so we're moving on with our other grants. Esser 2 was also awarded and will run through 2023. That money we're using for teacher salaries, stipends for home visits, and to recover our dropouts. Esser 3 is the one that we brought to you last year. That this one is through 2023 as well for $1,142,000, and we've been able to add math coaches, instructional aides, special ed co-teachers, community and schools, and also this summer we have a lot of camps for our kids for summer enrichment. The Esser 3 supplemental, this is actually through the governor's office, through the award that the state of Texas got for the COVID-19, and that has enabled us to add 2 nurse aides, continue some salary support, replace library books that were never returned when kids left for COVID, providing tutoring software that we've been using this past semester. The T class is a tutoring portion of the Esser funding that we had to apply for, and that is a 3-year grant as well through 2024. And because the state has ruled that students who failed the STAR exam must attend 30 hours of tutoring in the subjects that they did not pass, this grant is one that pays for those tutors throughout the school year as well as summer to help those students fill that learning gap. And currently, our most current grant is we were just awarded this month the Dyslexia Training Grant through the state, and this will allow us to train some teachers. It's a very expensive program, and we're going to be able to get 16 teachers to get instruction, to get their certification to help with our students with dyslexia. And that's $73,850 the first year, and then there's a second-year award as well. It's a 2-year training program. I think that does it.
Dr. Gordon, before you step away, I think everybody should know I've had considerable conversations with a couple of school districts that have suffered tragedies since our tragedy in 2018, and when they would ask me questions about grants and special assistance, I knew we had them, didn't know all those details, and Dr. Gordon was willing to step up and help some of these folks, and they have more than once, how much they appreciate that help, and we thank you for all your efforts in that.
Thank you.
All right, so we get to the fun part, the money. Okay, we did a 6-year trend, basically just analyzing the data as to how much our grants have actually increased over the years. So for the school year 2016-2017, we received about $1 million in total grants. Now, this is just talking about IDEA grants and the Title I grants and some special grants. It doesn't include every, grant that we may get, such as school buses or the connectivity grant that we receive, because those are separate from the actual monetary part of those grants. In 2017-2018, that actually increased to $2.1 million. So we see that trend going up. 2018, 2019, we saw a tremendous spike. It was an unfortunate event that led us to that. And then we can see the trend back kind of normalize for that $2 million. Now, one of the things that I do want to clarify is on these grants is all those grants is money that we receive, however, they are earmarked for very specific purposes. We have to submit applications and we have to let everyone know what we're planning to spend their money on. So whenever it comes in, it just doesn't hit our books and we can spend it on X or Y. So it is very specific to what that particular grant entitles. Okay. In 2021, we received $11.5 million. And then in 21-22, we did $3.5 million. Now, another just caveat of that is those grants extend for a longer period of time. So you may see some that take several years, and these are just the years that they were actually awarded to us in the full amount. So they're not extended. So you'll see that some grants actually extend, like Dr. Gordon was talking about, 2-3 years. Okay? Just to put that in comparison, the entire scope of the grants is roughly about 13.4% of what our budget is. So our general fund budget, the amount of money that's managed through our grants and through our team here is about 13.4 of the total balance on that. There we go. Now we take to the board every month, we send them financial reporting, and we give you the health of those grants. We'll give you a report, and actually there's several reports in there that include a breakdown of the majority of the grants. If you look there, this should look familiar. It is in your board docs, and you should be able to see what the reports look like. This is just an abbreviated version. Okay. In each one of these, we can see that the majority of the money comes from special grants that, as Dr. Gordon actually has been procuring. We get some of those grants from IDEA and from title grants as well. Those are the ones that we can say that are constant, that we are constantly receiving. The special grants are ones that, we have to have special applications for, and we end up getting that money in. Next page. All right, on the final financial report that we submit to the board each month, there are several areas that I would like you guys to focus on, and that's going to be on the top left-hand side, or this area right here. You're going to see the name of the grant, the extension of the grant, meaning how long it's going to take for us to be able to use that grant, and basically the CFDA code, which we use to keep track of them. Those are the governmental codes that are given. Next to that, you're going to see 3 numbers. One that's going to be your NOGA, which is your Notice of Grant Award. It's just basically how much money we were actually told we were going to get. Okay? The next one is the drawdowns, and that one should be pretty straightforward, just how much money we have actually drawn down from that particular grant and how much is left. Okay? The bottom part that you'll see is going to be the breakdown of how that money is expended. Okay? How much money we've received, which months we actually get that money, and how much has been expended. Now, one of the things that I do want to note and that you'll see in this particular report is expenditures usually precede the revenue, and that's because these are grants where reimbursable grants. So we have to expend those funds before we can actually get the money back. So we'll get that, expend those funds, whether it be on teachers or it will be on special services or whatnot, and then we have to submit a reimbursement to the state where they will give us those funds. Okay. Here, I'm just going to give you some quick grant statistics. Over the past 6 years, we have spent $10.9 million in personnel expenditures from grants. So that's 35% of the actual full grant scope has been spent on salaries. 8.1 has been on capital expenditures, such as building expansions, et cetera. If you look to the right, you'll see there's another breakdown of each of the supplies, transfers, and contractor services. Our school district currently has 696 employees, and they have all been touched by the grant in some fashion or another. So these grants are incredibly important. Out of those $10.9 million, 61% of that came from IDEA and Title. The rest of it came from Esser Grants and other special grants that supported those. Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
If you would, go ahead and stay up. I know we're doing our third quarter investment report.
Yes, sir. Okay, we'll be talking about that third quarter investment report. Just to give you a heads up, there has been not much changed since the last time that we spoke. The funds have been just pretty much stagnant. We did see Frost Bank actually be fully closed out, so there is no longer any activity there. We do show it because the previous quarter there was some minor activity, so that should come out of your books coming next year. We did see some income or interest income for the past quarter, very minimal in comparison to the amount of assets that we currently hold. Here we have the balance distribution. 77% of our current totals are located in Texas First Bank. They are diversified in there. We do have them into our general operating accounts, and we do have it into 2 of money market accounts, which generate interest for the district. We are looking to diversify and looking at different options. After the latest Federal Reserve increase in rates, we are looking at what options we have, what vehicles that would qualify under the Investment Act. We have 78% in cash depository accounts, which is roughly about $21.3 million, and 22 in our pooled investment accounts. As you can see here, we can see it's just a slight uptick in interest that's coming up, and that's just because of that natural increase that's happening because of the interest rates. And here, just as you can see, our assets kind of are showing where we're at, and that slight uptick in interest. Any questions?
The slightest.
The slightest.
After they fell off the cliff.
Yeah, I mean, I could have put it in other terms, but I think it sounds better if you say slightest of increase.
Yeah. Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Our final report is going to come from Ms. Bauer. She's going to give us our annual report on nutrition services.
Good evening. I'm Sheree Bowers. I'm Director of Yum Nutrition Services. I'm here to give you your annual program update. Currently, Team Yum is 52 members strong. Unfortunately, we are currently working anywhere from 7 to 10 people short every day. We are struggling to hire. We just aren't getting the applicants like we used to get. We're hoping that we're going to have a strong summer of recruiting and hiring good new team members, so we're ready to start strong next year. We are a federally funded program. We operate under USDA, TDA, the local health department regulations, and local board policy. Federal requirements have to be met for meal reimbursement, and in order to claim that reimbursement, we have to meet rules and regulations for each program. So breakfast, lunch, pre-K, after-school snacks, SSO, they all have their own requirements and regulations. You would think it's all under one umbrella, but it's not. They're each their own program. We're a not-for-profit, self-supporting program. We use Primero Edge for our point-of-sale system, which allows us to work wirelessly when we need to. We can limit purchases when parents request it on student accounts. We make note of allergies, and we're currently using badge scanners in place of pin pads when students check out at the end of the line. Badge scanners are fast, but they only work if students have a badge. So we struggle a little bit when there's no badge in place, and we did that because of COVID. We use the School Cafe app for people to make online payments and apply for free and reduced meals and monitor account balances. We're currently serving all meals for free under the Seamless Summer Option Waiver with USDA. We're reimbursed at the higher summer food service program rates, which is the highest rate of reimbursement that USDA pays. We've increased our breakfast participation by 6% and lunch by 20%. We're currently feeding almost 70% of our students lunch. And so we consider this the silver lining of COVID. We're feeding more kids than we ever thought we would, especially in my career here. And we're hoping that these kids have tried our food and they like it, and they'll continue to eat with us going forward. Currently, no free or reduced meal applications are required, but all of this good stuff ends on May 26th. So if you believe that universal free meals should be part of the school day, talk to your congressman, please. What does next year look like? As it stands right now, we're going to return to the National School Lunch Program. That means households will have to complete free and reduced meal applications, and they haven't had to do that for 2 years. We actually have households who have students who've never had to complete a free or reduced meal application. They don't even know what that is, so we're going to have a challenge there. Meal prices will need to increase due to increased cost. We're seeing a 15% increase in the cost of our groceries across the board, an average of 15%. There's a price lunch equity tool, which USDA requires us to complete every year to determine the price of our increase. Our reimbursement rate will decrease to the NSLP rate. It's a lower rate than that summer food service program rate. We're likely to see decreased participation because all meals will not be free, and we're likely to see an increase in meal charges for the very same reason. We did receive a $95,000 supply chain assistance grant, and it can only be used for very specific food items. We received it in March, and we are able to use it in April and May of this year, and then the balance remaining will carry forward to next year. We're currently using it to purchase milk because that is one of the allowable items. Our challenges will be communicating the transition back to paid meals, communicating the need to complete a free and reduced meal application, communicating meal prices and our charge policy, and then also pleasing our customers while remaining in compliance with USDA guidelines, because on top of everything else, there is even more sodium restrictions that come into play next year. We have to have lower sodium in our meals. Our rewards, working with an amazing and dedicated team. Even though we're short-staffed, I have some really great people who are always here, and they're dedicated to what they're doing. The smiling faces we see go through our lunch lines every day, and the compliments we receive from our students about the best food they ever ate. Don't tell my mom. And that's what I have for you tonight, if you have any questions.
Any questions for sure?
Did we have to increase the headcount in nutrition services whenever participation increased from the free lunches?
We did not.
Okay. That's
We're,
awesome.
we're doing the same with,
He didn't do it, you just didn't.
we couldn't. We've tried to hire
Find
people all
anybody.
year, and the struggle is real.
But in other words, you guys are
We're
killing it
doing more
ways
with
than one.
less.
Yeah.
Even more with the less. Yeah, if you see a lunch lady, hug her.
Very good. Thank you, ma'am.
That's all I have, sir.
Okay, we will now move into our consent agenda. Dr. Bott?
Yes, sir. We have our minutes and accounts payable. We have a budget amendment, and we're approving our copier services provider and our workman's compensation provider.
I make a motion, we approve as presented.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda as it was presented. Any questions or comments? Not. Mr. Davenport, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Lambert?
Yes.
Mr. Grassmup?
Yes.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
And I will be yes, so it is passed unanimously. Thank you. Okay, we'll move into our regular agenda. We do have a couple items here. Dr. Bott, you've got the first one for us.
Yes, sir. It's a great honor to announce our first agenda item for the night, and I'm going to ask at this time that Miss Patty Hansard please stand. And please stand for the duration of this item. Thank you. For those of you that don't know, it is extremely rare to rename a facility or a part of a facility. And Ms. Hansard has been an educator for 43 years, 42 of those years here in Santa Fe ISD, and she will be retiring at the end of this school year. And so, just bear with me while I read this. Ms. Hansard established the Tribal Bells drill team in 1980, and she directed this award-winning team for 26 years. In 1980, she began with 18 members and grew that team to well over 72 members. During her tenure, the Tribal Bells won numerous first place, showmanship, choreography, and technique awards each year, including 3 national championships. She had at least one member each year named to the All-State Drill Team and numerous dancers who performed in bowl games and the annual Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Patty has made a lasting impact on so many students and educators and community members, and we are so thankful for her dedication to Santa Fe, to the student, staff, and the community. And so tonight we are moving that the Santa Fe High School Dance Room be renamed the Patty Hansard Tribal Bells Dance Studio.
Mr. President, I make a motion that the school board approve the renaming of the Santa Fe High School Dance Room to the Patty Hansard Tribal Bells Dance Studio.
Second. Second.
Okay,
Third,
it's
fourth.
been moved in multiple seconds and thirds and everything else that we approve this name after such a deserving person. Any questions? Mr. Davenport,
Without a doubt, yes.
Mr. Kelly,
Without a doubt, yes.
Ms. Lambert,
Absolutely, yes.
Mr. Grassmuck,
Absolutely.
Mr. Crable.
Yes.
I still think you should have had to dance for everybody tonight, but yes, it has been approved unanimously. Thank you very much, and thank you for all you do. Now you get to follow that up with the next action item.
and now I'm like sniffling and, okay. All right. So, according to DC Local, the superintendent has sole authority to make recommendations to the board regarding the selection of contractual personnel. The board retains final authority for employment of contractual personnel. The administrative recommendation is that the Board of Trustees of the Santa Fe Independent School District delegate authority to the superintendent to hire this personnel after the regularly scheduled May board meeting until the time of the September board meeting for recruitment and retention of new hires. Prior to the hire by the superintendent, the board will receive the recommendation, including the candidate's name and position,
And the authority granted by this resolution to delegate authority to the superintendent is effective unless the board takes action to absolve the resolution. And from an HR perspective, I feel that this is in the best interest of the district to approve this delegation of authority. So for recruitment purposes throughout the summer, and sometimes we lose employees to other districts because we have, they're waiting until that next board meeting and they start looking. And so this will definitely help, and will help the principals and all departments in hiring contracted employees. So I'm asking that you approve the resolution as presented.
Mr. President, I move that the board approve the resolution delegating hiring authority to the superintendent of schools as presented for recruitment and retention of new hires.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve this resolution for the hiring process. Any questions? Not. Mr. Davenport?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Lambert?
Yes.
Mr. Grassmuck?
Yes.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
And I will be a yes also. It is passed unanimously. Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Townsend, we have the general fund committed fund balance.
Good evening. Our general fund balance is broken up into two components. There's the committed fund balance, and then there's the unassigned fund balance. Back in 2018-19, we asked the board to commit our fund balance to make sure that we had enough for our required 2.5 months operating. We actually committed 3 months of operating, and that's about $11,662,787 that is committed. We also came back and asked the board to commit $2,085,853 because we received a one-time ADA adjustment after May 18th. So we're asking the board now, since we have moved through time, we feel like that we're in a great place with our committed fund balance, and we're asking that the board release a part of the committed and reclassify it as unassigned. And all that'll do is give us a little bit of extra liquidity that we may need. What we don't want is our financial records to show a positive unassigned fund balance, just in case we were to need at the end of the year to cover any expenditures until we get reimbursed, because as you heard, a lot of the grants are reimbursement. So we're just asking that the $2 million be released and be reclassified from a committed fund balance to an unassigned fund balance. And since we ask you to commit it, we would have to ask you to uncommit it.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the reclassification of $2,085,853 of the general fund balance from committed to unassigned.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the reclassification of the general fund and fund balance. Any other questions or comments? Not. Mr. Davenport?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Lambert?
Yes.
Mr. Grassmuck?
Yes.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
And I will be a yes also, so it is passed unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Wheeler, you've got the next item for us.
Good evening, everyone. It was time for us to go back out for our solid waste bid. This is the current bid that we had. We did in 1920. So this year we went out for the 2022-2023 school year. We did this renewable annually for 3 additional one-year terms by mutual consent. Santa Fe ISD received bids from 1 vendor, and AmeriWaste is submitted as the best value bid, and they have provided. AmeriWaste has been our provider for the last 3 years that we've had solid waste. The original contract in 2019-20 was $54,513. The new annual bid is $58,569.
Mr. President, I move that we approve AmeriWaste, Inc. to provide solid waste services for the 2022-2023 school year at a price not to exceed $58,569.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve their AmeriWaste solid waste services contract. Any questions or comments? Mr. Davenport?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
Ms. Lambert,
Yes.
Mr. Grassmuck,
Yes.
Mr. Crable.
Yes.
And I will be a yes also, so it is passed unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Mr. Atkins, you've got the next item for us.
Yes, sir. So, as you'll know, we're replacing the football field at the high school and the track. One of the things we bid as an alternate during the bid time was an impact pad. The impact pad goes underneath the turf between the rock layer and the turf, and it helps lower the Gmax force, which is a measurement that the NFL came up to measure forceful hit of heads on the ground related to concussions. We bid a Gmax force underlayment pad for a price of $101,000. If we are going to consider it a future date cool infill, you would have to have this pad, otherwise the field would not be able to have the cool infill. But this pad, whether we use standard infill, which is what we have priced now, or the cool infill, would lower the Gmax rating of the field so that it would help reduce the opportunity for concussions, both in football, soccer, and other sports.
Bob, I got a question. Did we use the impact pads for the baseball or softball field?
We did not. It wasn't something we considered at the time.
I struggle with $101,000, but I also struggle a lot more with the safety aspect that we're passing up if we don't do this. I know we've already had some extremely hard hits on these fields that have caused some pretty serious concussions. I hate to spend $101,000, but $101,000 is well worth it when you're talking about some kid's head getting smashed into turf and causing some pretty serious damage. I know we're in a bind a little bit because our bond didn't go the way we had hoped, and we're going to have to spend a lot of money out of our general fund. I can't pass up the safety aspect of this. I mean, I know it's sports related, and I know there's some people that are going to be opposed to it, and I'm sorry. The kids' safety is worth it to me.
I agree with Mr. Grassmuck. If this was related to cosmetics, I wouldn't be on board because of the cost, but it has to do
Absolutely.
with the safety of the kids.
This is not about the color of the field or a nicety. This is nothing but preventing serious brain injuries. I mean, it's important.
Sounds like I'm fixing to hear a motion.
I would like to add to that, but I think Grassmuck said it best. If it's all about safety, $100,000 is nothing. If it was just for cosmetics, like Ms. Lambert said, then it would be one thing. But if it's safety, then, I mean, I'm sure it's could be explained away in the future.
What is the typical mortality for these subgrade impact pads?
It's a pretty rigid pad. So the pad that we did select is one that is something if we had to roll the field open in a certain area, we could put it back together pretty easily. It's modular, or it's kind of like squares. So it should last through the next turf change, and it should be available on the next turf change. So, turf is scheduled to be replaced every about 10 years. And so it should last you through that turf change and one other. So it should last you 20 years.
Bob, what would you say the percentage?
Go ahead, Mr. Kelly, I'm sorry.
I'm just curious of what the percentage of the other districts around have it, as far as for the safety of their kids and where we're looking at there.
I do know it's something that everybody's really considering now, but they're also piecing it with a cool infill. So when we toured looking at turf fields, I know any place that had cool infill definitely had it. And then there was a couple other places that had it that had bought it, but went with a standard infill just for the concussion stuff. I talked to, and it's anecdotal, but I talked to every place that I talked to that had it said their concussion numbers were severely reduced. So.
That's what I was gonna ask.
And that's good. I would like to also add that, being that we're not paying for this right now, the turf itself, and it was really up for an upgrade, we're actually getting a pretty good deal even when we add this extra cost in, so.
Mr. President, I
Yeah,
make a
just-
motion we approve the purchase of the underlayment impact pad for a cost not to exceed $101,000.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the purchase of this underlayment impact pad. Any other questions or comments? Mr. Davenport?
I abstain.
I'm curious why you would abstain.
I honestly do not know enough from a research perspective. I know that all the stuff that y'all presented to us in our board book, I truly believe that we have some serious, safety issues there, but $100,000 when we have some other capital projects on the books. I'm looking at it from a ratio of the student body that actually is involved in athletics or is going to be using that field compared to some of the classroom stuff. So I feel like it was best interest of what my voice is for this community is to learn a little bit more about it. And then if it passes, I'll support it. But I really feel like I need a little bit more time with that one. But I understand it had to go to a vote.
So that's a no vote and not an abstain vote.
However you want to do it. I can retract my abstain and I can go with no.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes, sir. I would like to ask one more question because of what Eric said. Is this no impact? Is it something we could add later? Or is it a done deal once we put the turf down and that's it?
No, it's driving the project. So we can't add it later because it goes underneath the turf, and then once the turf's down, they put the infill down. So once we get an answer, yes or no, we'll release a turf tomorrow or the next day for manufacturing. So we can't delay anymore on this particular decision, and it's not something we could add at a later date.
Okay, I appreciate that, Bob. I'm a yes.
Ms. Lambert?
I have one more question. Was there any statistical data that was provided by PBK on just how much of a reduction in high impact injuries there were?
I will ask again. I did ask for some. I didn't receive any, but I'll ask again. I think there is some data. I think it's more empirical than statistical or scientific, but there is some data there.
Okay.
Yes.
The question's twofold. I was not only asking for my vote, but also for the other fields that we have student athletes on. But my vote's a yes.
Mr. Grassmuck?
Yes.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
And I am a yes also. Thank you.
All right, thank y'all.
Ms. Ross, you have the next item for us?
Yes, I do. The K-3 phonics program will adhere and align to the district with the Texas State Initiative Science of Teaching Reading. This resource is supplemental in our existing phonics curriculum and will assist teachers in addressing student gaps created by the pandemic and further develop our catalog of resources in our literacy initiative.
Make a motion we approve the phonics core program as requested by CNI.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve this phonics core program. Any other questions or comments? Mr. Davenport?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Lambert?
Yes.
Mr. Grassmuck?
Yes.
Mr. Crable?
Yes.
And I will be a yes also. It has been approved unanimously. Thank you. You have the next one also.
Yes, sir. The District Education Improvement Committee reevaluated the adjustments made to the 2022-23 school calendar based on TEA's recent release of the assessment dates. The following suggestions were implemented in the calendar, voted upon, and passed with unanimous support from the district committee. Fall semester, October 27th, was changed from early release to a full school day due to reevaluation of time necessary to cover parent conferences in one day on October 28th. For spring semester, changes were made based upon the effects of assessment window being moved earlier in the semester. January 16th was changed from Professional Learning Day to Student Staff Holiday, and then February 20th was changed from Student Staff Holiday to Professional Learning Day. On April 24th, the Student Staff Holiday moved to April 10th because state testing is the week of the 24th. School times were also established and finalized and reflected below. Elementary will run from 8:30 to 3:55 p.m., junior high 7:40 to 3:05 p.m., and then high school 7:20 to 2:45 p.m. Minutes have been adjusted and converted into additional days used to anticipate for possible or potential school closures throughout the school year. When you convert those minutes, high school ended up with 5.73 days, junior high 7.44 days, and then elementary 5.38 days.
Mr. President, I move to approve amendments made to the 2022-2023 SFISD academic school calendar as requested and recommended by the District Education Improvement Committee.
You have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the amendment to the 22-23 academic calendar. Any questions or comments?
Just one. Mr. McKinney, I know this is a dumb question, but you're good with this. Calendar works for you?
There'll be some shuttling.
But we have it under control.
Any other questions? Mr. Davenport.
Yes.
Mr. Kelly.
Yes.
Ms. Lambert.
Yes.
Mr. Grassmuck.
Yes.
Mr. Crable.
Yes.
And I will be a yes also, so it has been approved unanimously. Okay, that is it for our regular agenda items. We're going to move into a little communication. Mr. Davenport, you have anything you want to add tonight?
I do. Just a few things. One, I just want to give my best to all the teachers and staff and students out there for the end of year activities within our district, and also as they go into their summers with their families, to be safe. Hope they have a great summer, and also look forward to seeing them back all next year. To all those administrators, teachers and staff who helped our kids with the STAR testing, we really appreciate all the efforts that y'all put into this year to making the STAR such a success. And I know that I have have no doubts in my mind that we're going to get some great feedback from the state once those come in. To all the spring extracurricular activities, it's been a great spring, anywhere from our fine arts to our athletics. Just wonderful job, guys, for all those that are participating out there. To all the city officials that just were recently elected last weekend for their positions, congratulations. There's two shout outs. One is a community member, Mr. Alfred Guillen, for all of his support with the bond effort and trying to be an advocate for Santa Fe ISD and seeing what our future holds for our youth. We really, truly appreciate all of your efforts. And the other one is to our own junior high coach, Coach Ginn. We've seen Coach Ginn at a number of functions out at Runge Park. We happen to see Coach Ginn at a couple of select basketball games in Friendswood and other places. Really seems to be doing a great job just getting out there and just being a support person for all the kids and the youth. So thank you, Coach Ginn. And finally, really truly want to give a heartfelt prayers are going out to all the family of the May 18th. This week I know is a very tough week for a lot of folks, myself included, but just want to say we have not forgotten, and we are a very strong community. So I just want to say to everybody that's affected by the March 18th event years ago, You are not alone, and we stand as one with everybody. So hope everybody with that has a good evening. Be safe going home, and that's all I have, Mr. Norman.
Mr. Kelly.
Yeah, first I would like to congratulate Eric for always knowing exactly what to say for Board of Communication. I think he practiced this all month long. But everything he said, congratulations to all those that are honored tonight. And those that were affected by May 18th, please know that we're there with you. And thank everybody for being here tonight.
Ms. Lambert.
Well, first of all, I echo everything that Eric said. It makes it a whole lot easier when he goes in front of all of us. I'm very excited to see our test results this year. I can't wait for those to come in. Congratulations to all of our students and staff who are recognized tonight. I've said it multiple times. It's always my favorite part of the meeting. Big congratulations to our varsity baseball team. It was so hard to watch the end of that game on Saturday. I mean, ups and downs, 11 innings. It was exciting. I hated to see it end like that. As far as the kids that we recognized tonight, I know that we recognized a ton. There's a tidbit of information that I know. I believe Mr. Norman also knows. So it's a cool stat that out of the over $800,000 that was collected from the junior livestock auction, our kids got over $300,000 of that. That's huge. So as far as band goes, it's obvious our band program is growing and succeeding, and I think that that's really exciting. And Royal, him being one of 15 students in the whole state to be recognized the way that he was, that's just huge, not only for him, but also for our district. Nutrition, you guys make everything easy for the students and for the parents, and I just want to say thank you. And to our staff, we're so thankful for all of you, and you guys are so close to the finish line. Every department in the district, y'all just done an awesome job this year. With our May 18th families, I've had the opportunity to be able to start working more closely with the foundation. I'm very grateful for that. And as stated earlier, you guys are not alone, and we're definitely thinking of you guys.
Mr. Grassmuck.
Well, everything's been said, so I'll just say it all again, I guess. No, Friday I was at the track meet in Austin because I obviously love our pole vaulters to death. But when they did the introductions and you're looking there and there's only 8 kids in the state and 2 of them are ours, that was kind of real. And the more I got to thinking about that throughout the day, if you look what this district has done this year especially, I mean, I don't know how many times I've heard the word state this year. I mean, seriously, how many people have we sent to state? I don't even know what the number is. It's huge. If you like any sport at all, any fine art at all, I don't know what it is you enjoy, but there has to be something going on at this school that you would enjoy. And you're looking at some of the best in the entire state right here. Don't sit at home on the couch during the week. Come out and support these kids and watch some of the best fine arts, best athletes, best of everything in the entire state of Texas right here in your backyard. Come out and support these kids. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this. And congratulations to all of them. I mean, it's been just an insane year. Softball is still not giving up, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised if we're talking another state championship. So come out and support them. I hope everybody has a good summer, because it's probably the last time we'll see some of y'all for a while, because I'm sure y'all are about ready to vamoose for a while. And for all those affected by May 18th, which is pretty much anybody in Santa Fe or anywhere remotely close, but especially those affected the most, we're thinking about you and praying for you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Crable.
Yeah, kind of to echo a lot of thoughts that were given tonight, but what I want to point out, so I've been on the board now since November of 2020, and when I walk out and see this room full of community members, I think it shows that, or hopefully it shows that the community can get behind the good things that we're doing. When you talk about band, athletics, FF&A, and the numerous other individual awards that were given tonight, there are a lot of good things going on in our district, and I guess it's more of a plea to our community to pay attention to the good things that we are doing, and let's get behind the school and support them and push the district even more forward. I know we're doing great things, but we can always use the support. You know, it always takes a village, and so that's my plea out to everyone to just get involved and help. You know, obviously it's May in Santa Fe, and so it's hard to go without making a comment about May 18th, and I do want to pass on, you know, those thoughts and prayers to those that were affected as well. It's always a sad day to remember, but I think it's important that we all remember. So I just want to make those comments.
Dr. Bott, do you have anything you want to add tonight?
Yes, sir. This is the last school board meeting of the school year. So it's been a good year. Thank you guys, everybody in the audience, all the principals and directors. Appreciate all your hard work and your time and effort and energy that you put into helping the school district be successful each day. Thank you guys. Thank you to Mr. Sanchez, Ms. Bowers, Dr. Gordon, all of our grant folks, Ms. Ryan, Ms. Oliver, all the work you do behind the scenes. Thank you, Mr. McKinney. He smiled and said yes, but I know it's going to be tight getting the schedule to work, and we appreciate it. And I know our high school students and parents appreciate coming at 7:20, 7:05. A big congrats to all the kids. That was amazing and impressive to watch. Those kids worked hard and are more than deserving of their accomplishments. Congratulations to them. Congratulations again to Ms. Hansard for the renaming of her facility. We did briefly consider the name Patty Hansard Boot Scoot and Boogie Room. That didn't get much traction, so we went with the more traditional title. We do expect to see Boot Scoot and Boogie though. I want to welcome Coach Ryder at his first full board meeting. They're not all like this, man. It doesn't always take this long. I don't know, maybe sometimes it does, but that was a lot of recognition. But mostly just want to say thank you to the Santa Fe staff and community for a great school year, your hard work on STAR as well. To echo Mr. Davenport and Mr. Grassmug, we've accomplished so much. We can't thank you guys enough. And our hearts and prayers are with anyone who's had a difficult time with May 18th.
Yeah, I too I echo everything that's been said here, and I don't think we could